So, good morning, everyone. So, thank you for joining our Sales and Marketing Fry Talks. This time, though, we are live not on the Friday, but on Thursday. And why so? Because actually, in Latvia, where we live together with Rolands, actually, is that we have an Independence Day tomorrow, and it's a free holiday for everyone. And we thought that some of our listeners probably will not be able to join, and we also would like to take some time with families and friends. So therefore, we run it today on Thursday, and nevertheless, we're glad to see you all, and thank you for joining us today. And the topic we decided to discuss is top 5 mistakes in B2B marketing. And some time ago, we probably already covered some of these, but nevertheless, we see this is a repeating pattern among our clients and some other companies we work with. And we decided to devote this episode discussing and sharing some recommendations how to avoid these mistakes. So let's dig in and let's see where we are. I think one of the most common mistake we see is that the customers whom you are targeting is not kind of well known or not investigated enough. And I think that's definitely is area where to pay more attention. So how do you really familiarize yourself with the customer environment? Where exactly you can gain the insights from the customers? And yeah.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And I think it's important to point out that companies can be successful in local market if they are known, if they have good reputation, and they can work with broad market segments, different industries. Once you want to start scaling your business, once you want to go into external market, you need to focus very much. And ideally, you want to target specific set of customers whom you know very well. And if we talk of what does it really mean to know your buyers or know your customers, you need to be really good with two things, actually. You need to, first of all, you need to understand your buyers' businesses, basically industries, company sizes, etc. Very, very specifically, because you want to be very relevant for specific set of ideal customer profile, right? And second thing, what you want to do, you want to really intimately know your buyers. And here are also some tools that you can use, and I would very much recommend for companies actually to formally develop ideal profile of their ideal clients, because that very much helps to focus attention, helps to align the team around it, and also it helps very greatly to do things like create specific marketing materials, text, videos, etc. Because then it's very clear whom you are talking to. And second thing, I would very much advise to do a bit of like detective, like Sherlock Holmes work, and try also to create detailed your buyer's persona profiles. Andres, what do you think? You have lots of experience with creating buyer profiles. Can you share? What would you suggest? What works best?
No, I think the best actually to learn about your customers is to ask your customers directly. And that's a very valuable experience, what I could share just to run some customer interviews. And during these interviews, you can ask customers about their actually priorities, about their challenges, and most importantly, validate some of your assumptions related to the value proposition, related to the buyer journey, related to the sources of information these potential buyers are using to, validate the solution they are looking for, or maybe, gather some additional insights or justification for the decision making. That's the one thing. Another one is really to formalize, as Euron suggested, and but formalizing not just in abstract manner, but based on your real customer example. So you can even take very specific persona from your current customer, put the picture on the whiteboard, and together with your salespeople and maybe support team and everyone who involved into these customer relationships, spend time and formalize all these insights about the customers around key areas, as I mentioned, like objectives, challenges, key triggers for purchasing anything related to your solution, and many other areas. You probably can find those templates out in the internet easily.
Yes, and what I wanted to add is that you also must consider not only one person, because even if primarily the purchase decision is driven by one person, there are more than one person involved. Probably there is somebody making decisions from business side, probably there is somebody making decisions from technical side, and it's quite possible that other roles in company are involved, such as perhaps legal, such as security, and other persons. And you really need to think which of those persons you need to engage. And if some way you want to engage more than one type of person, engagement or content preparation is much easier if you have these profiles already researched and readily available.
Exactly like you said, what else it helps you afterwards is to define more precisely what type of the content you need to prepare, right? And what language you need to use, what specifics you need to include into this content, and so forth and so forth. Because nowadays there are a lot of different content available from many of your competitors as well. So you need to stand out. And the way how you can do that is by providing much better and much valuable and much more kind of tailored content to those personas.
Yes, and I wanted to share here one example. We recently did buyer's research for one technology company, and typically the products that they provide are sold under big slogans such as digital transformation, industry 4.0, etc. And generally, this offering is really broad. We talk about something very abstract. And see, when we did the buyer's interview, we found out that actually each person I talked with mentioned that there is one very specific functionality, and this is the same functionality for all of them, which served as a buying trigger. There was one very specific need, and respectively, we recommended our customer not to try to, talk about some very theoretical terms, digital transformation, whatnot, but talk with customers about this specific functionality, because there is very clear person who needs it, very clear benefit, and it has been proven again and again to serve as a door opener. If you have this functionality, this person we are selling to really pay attention. They are really interested to see the demo, and also our customers' offering was rather strong in that very specific area. So by all means, do buyer's research, make sure you know them. And that makes many things already easier to do after that.
Absolutely. So let's move on. And the second kind of mistake we would like to refer here is that companies rush to offer everything. So they still stay quite generic in terms of what do they offer and how do they actually help. The example what Roland just mentioned is very common in IT industry as well, that many companies say, hey, we help you digital transformation projects to move forward or similar things. But under this big umbrella message, there are very specific projects or very specific challenges what customers, clients need to address.
Yes, and I would say that this particularly is a challenge for custom software development companies, right? Because very often, indeed, they have skill set and competencies across a number of different industries, across number of different frameworks, programming languages, and so on. And many of them can be rather successful in local market because they are known, they have reputation, they have proven themselves again and again. However, for them, it's a very big challenge if they are going outside of their home market, because suddenly you are entering a room which is already full with competitors and nobody knows you, and you need to find a way to stand out. So you need really to have rather specific offering. You need to talk about your specialization, about why you are a good choice in specific industry, in specific scenario for specific customers. And at the end of the day, what you want to achieve? You want to enable your internal sponsoring company really to be able to argue on your behalf. And what you would like ideal them to say if they're talking with their let's say manager about selecting the solution. You want them to say that, look, I found those guys. They are really experienced in my industry. They really understand our business processes. They already know what the best practice is, and actually we can probably learn from them some business processes. And because they already have this specialization and industry knowledge, we will not need to help them understand our business, but perhaps even the opposite. And we will be able to work on this project very efficiently, very quickly, and we will be able to show results for our money rather soon. So that's what you want to achieve. And this is, and you can achieve that only if you go out and position yourself very specifically, a specialist serving some very specific need in specific industry. And of course, you should be able to prove it with things like for example, case studies.
Yeah, it's very important to have a social proof or customer references, what you can hear. I also would like to add on top of this that another related challenge typically we see is that some companies still try to follow this cheaper price or less cost type of approach. That's fine, and that is actually what customers are looking for. But you have to question yourself whether this is the first thing what your customers want to really be solved. Because in enterprise and the B2B space, the pricing, as many researchers reveals, and the experience also shows that it's not the first and primarily criteria for the selecting the vendor. In opposite, actually, there are many others criteria. Yes, Roland, you wanted to.
Yes, and incredibly important if we talk about offering is also think about the first step that you are actually offering. Because what you want to achieve, you want to have a really good conversation with somebody from customer who is competent enough, who's having the problem about their solution. And how do you get to conversation? Very often it's good to offer something specific, such as, in the most basic version, it can be a free consultation, but better option is perhaps to do some short audit, some, let's say, 1 hour solution, let's say, planning workshop or something like that. Because you generally want to give something which is of value to customer, just to have ability to talk with them. And very often it's not enough just to have a form to fill in if you are interested, or email to write, or phone number to ring. It's much better to be specific. This is what we offer.
Yeah, don't leave this decision to the customers, because it again brings in complexity and puts the pressure on the customer to decide. Even if it's a free consultation, be very specific. What exactly you are offering, about what you will consult your potential client, right? What they can get out of this, and so on and so forth. So that for them, it's absolutely clear and easy to make a decision about this. So, and another thing to move on to mention is that, related also to the previous one, we see that many companies, again, rush to sell. So that's what you, Roland, mentioned, is that customers not always actually come to buy from you. They are coming maybe to your website or just to your LinkedIn profile or elsewhere because they have a question. They want to clarify for them something, again, and move to the next step in their decision-making process. And that's something to keep in mind, that your customers not in most of cases ready to buy anything yet. and therefore you have to respect so-called buyer journey process. And it's very good to refer to it all the times when you plan your activities or when you execute your activities, and see exactly what stage of the buyer journey you're currently able to cover with these activities what you run. And vice versa, when some of your potential clients contact you, by the questions they ask, you can determine actually where they are in this buyer's journey process. And based on that, you can provide the best answer to what they're looking for.
Yes, I believe that buyer's journey is a really good metaphor, because I think what is important to understand with buyer's journey, that most buyers are on the way and they are not there yet, and they are not yet ready to have a conversation with your salesperson. But what they are doing, they are researching, they are trying to understand their problem, they are trying to gather information. Basically, they are trying to make up their mind to create, let's say a short list of possible solutions, of possible vendors. And in this process, you need to think of how can you help your customers out? What are their questions? How can you help them with, let's say, a blog, a white paper, perhaps a solution selection guide or market overview, and things like that. And you see, if you really extend your marketing efforts out into customer journey, you help with content, you help with videos and whatnot. What you are really doing, you are building trust, and your chances of getting in the short list of preferred solutions are much higher. And we have had in our experience, let's say, customers who really lack a content early in customer journey, but they are trying to get, let's say, just trials and try to sell their product. And what we have seen is that these guys have quite a lot of traffic to specifically their pricing page, and people come just check pricing and then they leave. And why this happens? And this happens because if buyer has already a short list of vendors, to justify their decision to their boss, very often they need to show comparison table. And then they just Google and look for alternative pricing of alternative solutions, but they have no intent. They're not considering these solutions at all, because other guys or competitors spent time educating them. They were reading their blogs, participating in their webinars, reading about their products, and so on. So it really pays off to invest earlier in buyer's journey, and that we are seeing, quite often. That actually loyalty, trust, preference is built long before buyer is ready to talk with the salesperson.
Yeah, and please do not underestimate the importance of this buyer journey. Whatever we call it, whatever we visualize it, it is there, right? And people are going through these certain steps before they make a decision. And if you are not with them in the very early stages of this buyer journey, very unlikely they will be considering you as a partner for the project. And as Roland illustrated, very likely they will be using you just for justifying the choice what they already made. So that's another important kind of aspect what we would like to pay your attention to. And then moving forward, we already mentioned that basically there are people on the market who are ready to buy, and there are people who are not ready to buy. And so therefore, you have to think of those different strategies to be applied to the different segments on the market. And the most common mistake, again, what I would like to mention here, and this is number 4 in our list, it's about the one strategy which actually covers kind of everyone. And that's not really what is working. You have to have different strategies which are connected to those different segments based on what stage of the buyer journey they currently are. And in this respect, it is really important to understand that you have to think of the market as at least two big parts in that regard. So one part of your target audience is probably currently in the very active process of selecting a solution, and you have to have a strategy. How do you capture this demand? What channels you need to use? What offering you can put on the table to attract their attention and to make them talk to you? Because the need is already there. You just need to be relevant for them for solving this need. And then another part of your market, which is about actually 90 to 95% of the market, is where the need is not clear yet. And you have to create the need. You have to help develop the need, and you have to help navigate towards the right solution for the need. And that is much longer journey. And this is where the marketing role is even more important. And we just referred to that in the previous point. And that is where the different strategies have to be applied. And those strategies are mainly related to, first of all, educating your customers, your potential customers, on the potential problem or opportunities. So if they don't know that, if they don't understand where the opportunity or where the problem for them, they probably will not be even thinking of buying anything or any solution in nearest future. So then as soon as they have understood that, you can move them to the next stage virtually, which is about looking for a solution. So how do they solve that potential problem or potential opportunities? And here you already give them opportunity to understand what are the different options available, and not selling yet, but already trying to them with services or solutions where you are also playing. And as soon as they understand that these are different options and what advantages or disadvantages of those different options, you can start introducing them a very specific solution, which may be your solution as well, showing how exactly this technology or these services or combination of both can address those specific problems, what they learned about, and why this specific offering is much better solution for them than other alternatives. So by doing these different strategies, you create the demand among those customers who currently have not thought of buying any type of solution related to area where you may be playing.
Yes,
okay.
And I think custom software developers are one of my favorite type of customers about whom I talk probably more than other segments. But I think for these kind of companies, they should focus on customers who already know what they want, because usually the customers already know what kind of need they have. They don't need to be explained that they need to outsource this software development work, right? And then such companies need to focus on basically on two things. First of all, they need to be in one way or another discoverable. And one good way to do that is with search engine optimized content. And second thing, they need to be very clear, very compelling, answering question why you should talk with us, and use, let's say, customer references, use case studies, G2, Capterra customer reviews, and things like that. Because for them, situation is quite good. You don't need to educate customer that they have a problem. You don't need to talk about what kind of solution is. But you have to be super good at getting attention and explaining why it's a good idea to work specifically with you.
Yeah, what else I would like to mention is these steps should be connected. So especially when it comes to this, nurturing and demand creation part, what we see often many companies do a lot of activities. So they have webinars, they have even some content like blogs, white papers, and many others. But it doesn't look like a connected journey. So that's also where I would like to pay your attention. When you have all these steps connected, then it's much easier for customers to move forward and to get prepared for the decision making. For that, though, you also have to think of measurements and some analytics around this. So it's highly recommended to set up proper reporting and measurement so that you can see what is the behavior of your potential customers, how do they consume this content, what works, what's not, and then based on that you can do an optimization of those activities and buyer journey. And that is exactly the last point. What I would like to discuss today is the optimization, because it's probably the most important part of the marketing and demand creation and lead generation, because with launching the campaign, you're just starting your journey to that. And very often we see that there is no proper setup of measurements, there is no proper setup of reporting, and the process itself for making this optimization really happening. And so therefore, I would like to recommend really to pay attention to that from the very beginning. And how? First of all, you have really do a planning together, marketing and sales. That's where everything starts with, by defining the KPIs, like for instance, what the end result we would like to achieve, meaning how many deals, for instance, how much revenue we want to generate by these activities. And then backwards to define KPIs at every stage before those deals converts, right? So how many sales opportunities we have to have, how many leads, therefore, we need to generate by marketing, and then split it by different channels, by different activities, and things like that. And then you basically end up with very detailed view on every stage KPIs. And if you have a proper setup of the analytics, you will be able immediately see how do your marketing activities perform and what exactly needs to be optimized. So if you run some content campaigns, if you run some Google or SEO campaigns and everything like that, you will be immediately able to spot out if those are bringing the necessary incomes into your pipeline in order to achieve the outcome you are looking for.
Yes, and I think many companies have already sales team in one way or another. Most of them are using CRM, and they are used to managing sales pipeline. But what's the purpose of marketing analytics and working together with the marketing team is actually to have a joint pipeline, which consists not only of sales pipeline, but actual sales pipeline begins with marketing pipeline. And companies should be able to track, prospects and leads and customers all across this pipeline. It's not probably it's not usually too easy to set up this kind of collaboration between marketing and sales, but it's extremely important, because once you have a joint pipeline, joint discussions, joint understanding of let's say lead definition and so on, you can start working together. You have an engine which is database, which has clear analytics, and suddenly you can start manage this situation and really have marketing to contribute to sales results of your company.
That's a good summary, Roland. So we have shared very briefly those 5 most common mistakes we continue seeing, and we therefore wanted just to pay your attention on them and shared some recommendations what we hope you can take and then develop further and implement. But just to summarize, what we discussed today is that, first of all, it's super important really to learn your customers well. And that both applies for the market in general. So, looking at market, segmenting it from the different criteria perspective. And therefore, also creating the ideal customer profile, but also looking at the buyer's personas, who they are, what they care about, and what actually triggers the demand for solutions you are offering among this audience. As soon as you understand that, it will be very easy for you to also create an offer which is very unique to this audience. And the important at this stage is really to make sure that you differentiate from your competitors, from different other alternatives, and that's your goal at this stage. And then what we also discussed is that the buyer journey is a very important concept to follow. And there are different stages, and those different stages have to be reflected in your marketing strategy and in your daily execution. So what exactly you do at every of this stage, how you engage with the customers, what channels do you use, what your call to action, and how they connect between each other. So how they can help customers move forward and reach the decision-making point. And last but not least, that is what we just discussed, that's about the optimization. It's important to have a set of KPIs, that's on one hand. On the other hand, to have ability to measure those KPIs, and jointly between marketing and sales have regular conversations around how we can optimize those activities in order to achieve our ultimate goal, which is about number of deals and revenue generated. So by that, I would like to thank you for being with us in this Thursday, not Friday. And I just wanted to remind you that, as always, all the content from us is currently available on our YouTube channel. You can just go to the YouTube, search for IBD Consulting, and there will be plenty of different episodes, webinars, and many other interesting content what you potentially can leverage for planning your go-to-market strategy and executing it. We also are available on the podcast platform, so you can go and search for us, B2B Sales and Marketing Fry Talks, on your favorite podcast platform and listen to this and other episodes. Otherwise, I would like to thank you and for being with us, and we will be back in 2 weeks, continuing our conversations around B2B sales and marketing topics.
Thank you
very much.
And bye.
Bye-bye.